It's not the best. It's not the best, but it beats the me feeling very afraid to even leave my apartment. Okay, I can't even express. I'm not that person that's usually walking fear, but I was afraid in LA. I was I was afraid. And
be love, be light, be peace, be life, be wrong, alright, be strong.
What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Whitney. I'm the CEO of The Creative Era. And today I want to talk to you guys about why am I considering leaving LA. Yes, I'm just moved there. I just moved there less than 5 months ago. And it's a lot to talk about. Let's jump into this video. There's some pros, there's some cons. There's many factors of why I'm considering this move. So let's talk about the pros. The pros was that when I moved there in September, it was probably one of the best decisions I could have ever made because, you know, my grandmother had just transitioned. I also was just needing a change of scenery. I needed a change. I just needed to change. That's really what it was. I never was able to move by myself. I never was able to go by myself. And so this was an opportunity for me to get away from what I'm accustomed to. So when I got there, I moved there with my cat. I moved everything. I moved all my stuff. Majority of my stuff is still stored in my sister's house in her attic, and most of my stuff was removed out of this particular apartment that I'm in right now. Because in my head, my intentions was, I'm never coming back. Your girl's never coming back. That's it. We ain't coming back. And so I moved everything, and I basically moved my whole life over to LA. And so when I got to LA, I was living with a room. When I first got there, I had a roommate. I had one roommate, and it didn't bother me too much because, you know, she was never really there. The building I lived in was beautiful. I'm talking about beautiful. And we had you had a pool, you had a gym. And I'll talk more about all of these amenities later on in the video. But I had a gym. You had the swimming pool. We had a jacuzzi, a sauna, all these amazing amenities. A long list, beautiful building. So when I got there, you know, the first thing happened was that my apartment wasn't originally ready yet because they were still renovating it. For me to move in. So basically when I would move into my original apartment that I leased for that space, I was gonna have, you know, everything was gonna be spanking brand new. And so for the month of September, October, I stayed in this one apartment, beautiful, was able to sit on a balcony, relax, let my hair down. Again, my roommate, she barely was there, and so I basically was living by myself basically. November hits, and now it's time to transition into the apartment that I originally signed up for. What I signed up for was it's a three bedroom apartment. Each room was basically, I was going to be roommating with two other people, right? The other thing is that when you roommate with the company, you don't have the opportunity to choose your roommates. It's whatever the company has. That was the downfall of, you know, me signing this lease. But it was a perfect space because it was furnished. I didn't have to buy anything. It came with a bed. It came with very beautifully, like, furniture. It was basically furnished, and it was beautiful. It was a great space. So that was November. I didn't have two roommates. Didn't bother me so much. It was just like, okay, you know, y'all have y'all ways, I have my ways. Well, you know, I'll just stay in my little space and call it a day. And so then November, so that was November. November So then around November, I started to notice that because I was very tuned with my roommate's space, that I spent most of my time in my room because, you know, I just wanted to be mindful of everyone that was in the apartment. And also I have a tendency to talk loud and, you know, be just obnoxious. Not even obnoxious, I just talk loud because I basically just talk. So I would spend most of my days in my room because because there's not a lot of space. It was just the living room and a kitchen. It was very small, and the walls were very thin. So again, spend most of my time in the room. Then October started to come around. I'm sorry, not October. December came around and I started to see, slowly but surely, me mentally not doing so well. And so here's the whole con situation of me living in LA. So one of the things that I was experiencing was that, you know, one of the things that I did start to notice about myself was that I started to get tired. So whenever I get if you guys know my story, if you don't know, I have other videos where I talk about my mental health and how I had a mental breakdown and how I was in a psych ward, all of those good things. You guys could check it out. But basically, one of the key things that I realized when I am depressed, when I'm starting to slowly get into depression, is I get really tired. And it was funny because one of my homegirls, she asked me, she said, are you okay? Because you did say, I know that that's one of the signs that you say that, you know, you get tired. And I said, no, I said I just been working a lot and I'm just, you know, I just need a moment to, you know, decompose and, you know, live my best life. So then that was December. December, maybe around like Christmas time, I started to see it becoming more like, I was tired, but then also tired on top of not being very interested in the things that I love to do, which is create. Which is another sign that I've always that I recognized before when I was depressed. And so I was like, okay, so step one, I was feeling very tired. I was not very tired, but I would feel tired to the point where I wasn't interested in getting out of bed. And so that was very alarming. Two, because I was tired, I didn't find very interest in the things that I love to do, even though I was pressing through. I pressed through. One thing I know how to do is I know how to press through, because I'm like, no, can't be depressed. I'm like kind of like in a denial space. So I'm like, no, can't be depressed. Not on the list. And I was telling my friends that, I'm like, no, I can't be depressed because, you know, I'm just you know, tired because I've worked a lot. So then around December, ended of December, I started to see it more and more and more. By January, I had took a social media break a little after my birthday, and even on my birthday, a lot of people did not know, but I cried. I cried half of the day because I felt very isolated from my family. I felt very like, normally I'm a person who likes to celebrate their birthday. That's just who I am. I love to celebrate, and I just felt like it was not happening for me. Like I just felt sad. I felt like very disconnected from my family, and I was not feeling very well. So I cried, but thank God my sister, she put together a Zoom call with all of my friends, and that definitely helped a lot, because I was just like, okay, I feel loved. So January, then literally the day after my birthday, I took a social media break, because I was like, maybe I just need a social media break. I just need to take a moment and, you know, let down my hair. And so it was just like, okay. So then finally around for like a week, I slept. I didn't do much. I woke up and literally just would eat breakfast and go back to sleep. I did go a little bit of hiking with my friend who lives out in LA. Shout out to her. And I would, you know, and that was a thing too. Occasionally I would go running, I would go hiking, I would do all these like, you know, activities to keep my mental health, you know, away from being depressed. And then I started to see that the other con that was really hindering me a lot in LA, because I listen, if you guys know, I love to be outdoor. I love to run. I love to, you know, just nature. I like hiking, all of those things. And so even back in December, I started to realize that, you know, I did not go outside very often because, not because, of course, we're in a pandemic, but also because the homeless rate in LA is insane. And that's not to talk bad about anyone who's homeless. Listen, anyone is 2 checks or 1 check away from being homeless. I have nothing against homeless people. But my concern, was that some people who are homeless, they do suffer from mental illnesses. And so some of the things that I was experiencing was that I was becoming very anxious while I would go outside, like all the time. Like I'm talking about, like, even because I like to walk. I like to take a walk, and I realized that I was not able to take a walk like I normally would. And when I did take a walk, I would feel very like afraid. I would feel very scared. And I'm from New York. That's not a common thing that I usually experience. Like I can deal with a lot of things. It doesn't bother me. But this in LA is completely different. Because for one, often a lot of the homeless people do live in tents, and so me going through certain areas, passing through certain tents, I would get nervous. I would get scared because, again, I'm not accustomed to this new environment, and so I'm just scared. I'm I'm just flat out scared. And you know, for me, you know, living out there that played a huge role in my mental health, and me also feeling sad because I couldn't do anything. I could not. There was like the homeless rate out there is beyond me. I've done what I could do. Like I would, you know, if I felt it in my heart to give money or give food, I would do so. But again, it was crazy. It was beyond me, and that was one of the reasons why I literally was like, Whitney, you have to go. Like, you have to go, because I could not mentally process all of that. So also some of the things that I did not take into consideration when I moved up there was not knowing that it was like that. Because I visit, and you know, when you visit, you're like all over the place. You're going here, you're going there, you're not in a stable environment. You're everywhere. And so me living there was a different insight. Outside of the palm trees, the sun every day, like those were highlights. I couldn't enjoy a lot of those things because I was afraid. I would always feel afraid. I would tell this to a lot of my friends and my family, and like, yo, I don't feel safe. Even though I lived in, I guess, what I thought was a good neighborhood, but I lived in downtown LA, which I thought was a good area, but I realized it wasn't. But that's not even, even when I traveled throughout LA to different areas, I did see the same thing. I did see a lot of tents, a lot of homeless people, a lot of people who had mental illnesses that would just randomly, or let's not even talk about, sometimes in the middle of the night, like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, I would hear someone, I would hear people, not even people, I would hear certain individuals who suffer with mental illnesses would just yell at the top of their lungs, just cursing and just getting crazy, and that also that also frightened me a lot when I would wake up and be like in the middle of the night, you thinking like, yo, what's going on, like, you know. And so that also I struggled with that. And then also I didn't have a lot of friends out there. I had one good friend that I seen frequently, and so, you know, her and I would go hiking, and other than outside of that, outside of my roommates, I didn't really have much of a community out there. And that also, I struggled a lot, because me moving out there and now seeing it now, I'm like, wow, I definitely needed a community. I definitely needed more, like more people to be around. Even though while I was out there, I did join a virtual Bible studies, but that was only for like, I believe for a couple of, like, maybe like 2 months probably. And it helped a lot, because I was able to meet amazing people, other Christian people, just individuals. But however, I still needed more of a community, in terms of support, and, you know, I just needed something. So by me going there, there's a few things that, you know, I wasn't expecting, and mentally I was not prepared for what I've seen, and what I experienced. There was nothing on on paper that said, okay, Whitney, this is what you're gonna see, this is what you're gonna. No, I didn't get that. And so the middle of January, I felt very anxious, to the point where I literally was like, yo, I need to go. I need to go. And also, while I was out there, I was trying to figure out a lot of things, especially with my business, because half of my supplies was in New York and half of my supplies was in LA, and it was very hard to do what I wanted to do as a business owner, because most of my materials, and for me, I do everything hands-on, and so if that was also a struggle. And then also LA is a huge state. Outside of LA, it's California. California itself is such a huge state. So everything was just so far spaced out, and I don't have a car, so that also was another factor. I didn't have a car, so it was, which I didn't, it didn't really, I'm lying, it did affect me to the point where, because there were moments where I'm like, I just need a moment to step away from my environment and just take a cruise or something like that. So the only way I could, you know, do anything was through Ubers, and child, I spent a lot of money on Ubers, okay? Public transportation, which is not like New York public transportation, definitely different. And if I had those outlets, I didn't have a lot of outlets, and so most of the time, again, I said this early in the video, most of the time I spent most of my time in my room, because I didn't have a lot of outlets to feel like I needed to step out. I needed moments to like get my life together, get things together, and I didn't have a lot of that. And so, you know, most of the time I just stayed in my room, and towards January, I found myself in my room a lot often than I did, you know, when I first moved there. And that was unhealthy. That was very unhealthy for me mentally, because it's just not mentally. It's not okay. It's not okay, because no one should be stuck in their room, basically 24/7. And so, yeah, so one of the things that I did learn from going to LA was that I learned so much about myself. I learned so much about what I like, what I don't like. It also was a great space for me to heal. And of course, I'm still healing from, you know, my grandmother transitioning, me being a caretaker, me not really knowing what it feels like to quote unquote live by myself and live on my own. And that was the other thing, because I really LA for me was supposed to have been me living on my own, but I chose the route to do the roommate, which I'm glad I did, because yeah, now your girl basically is here in New York, so I definitely helped a lot, because it was a great space to allow myself to experience something outside of, you know, my norm, and also, you know, now that I'm back in New York, I'm basically living by myself. It's not the best. It's not the best, but it beats the me feeling very afraid to even leave my apartment. Okay, I can't even express. I'm not that person that's usually walking fair, but I was afraid in LA. I was I was afraid, and me staying here now, and also being close to my family, and it also made me realize how much my family missed me, because they always like, oh my god, I'm so happy you're here. Because first of all, I didn't let them know that I was coming. I literally just hopped up. I reached out to a good friend. Shout out to my good friend, and they got me a ticket right away. Didn't ask no questions, no nothing. Got me a ticket. And I took the first flight out, and I brought my cat because I wasn't sure when I'll return back to LA. Even though I'm still the crazy thing is, y'all, I'm still paying the rent out in LA right now. But I mentally could not think of everything in that moment. I just needed to get out. I needed to get out. And since I've been here in New York, I feel much better. I feel much lighter. I feel like clearer. I feel, you know, I'm able to process my thoughts, and able to take walks without feeling fearful, and also just get a clear air, just everything. And you know, I'm glad I did bring my cat with me, because you know, she's like my little baby. She's my little baby. And that's what I just needed a moment. Would I ever return back to LA? Yes, I do. I need to return back to LA because like I would say, like 45% of my stuff is still there. So I definitely have to return back to LA, and I also have to turn back my keys after I pay my lease. After I finish my lease, which is crazy enough, which is in February. So, you know, everything kind of worked out perfectly. But overall, you guys, I just wanted to create this video because I'm sure that there's people out there who may be considering moving to LA or trying to figure out their life. They need to move somewhere and they're not sure. Listen, your journey is your journey, and that's all I have to say. Your journey is your journey. What I experienced may not be the same thing with somebody else's experience. I'm just sharing what I felt, and I was feeling anxious like 85% of the time. So with that being said, you guys, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and hopefully I'll give more videos. I don't know what the video is going to be about. Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching this long video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. Be love.
Be light.
Be peace.
Be life.
Be wrong.
Alright.
Be strong.
Be bold.
Be black.
Be gold.
Be love.
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 Be light.
Be peace.
Be life.
Be wrong.
Alright.
Be strong.